Avi Meyers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself, NTNM on the web. Everything's on YouTube, and Community Policing, caps24.org. I'd like to introduce you to, I guess presently he's probably my favorite campaign manager around here, and somebody who had Larry Supperton call, like, it changed the face of judicial elections here, the way he ran the campaign for Megan Goldish. And I'd like to, you've seen him before on the show. Sean Tenner, how you doing?
Good to see you again, Avi.
First of all, my pleasure. And you got a really very impressive candidate going this year for you.
Well, thank you. We've been having a great time in the new Second Ward. It is probably the strangest map I've ever seen of any political jurisdiction.
Looks like a barbell.
Yeah, I would say it's. I'm sure folks can look it up online, but it's a barbell with River North, Streeterville, Gold Coast on the right, Wicker Park, Ukrainian Village, Bucktown, those territories on the left, and then North Avenue is the bar in between.
And of course, your candidate is Cornell Wilson, who's an extremely impressive individual I've had the pleasure of interviewing. Who actually was on the first segment of the show, so if you're watching this on YouTube, go back to YouTube and check it out. But and he's getting really good widespread support, and he's getting to be known in the community.
Well, thank you. Fantastic candidate. It's interesting in this race because there's no existing political infrastructure in the new Second Ward. As you know, in Chicago, typically there'll be an incumbent alderman, and that alderman will stay there until he or she decides to step down and usually pass it on to somebody else. But because this new Second Ward was essentially created out of thin air after the last redistricting, there's no Democratic committeeman, there's no alderman, there's no one political figure who's a godfather, if you will, of the new Second Ward. It's an absolutely rare opportunity for somebody with, not coming from one political clique or another, but with an impressive story, good organization, and smarts to have a fair shot. When Cordell and I first met, we were talking about, how he could bring his public service to the next level, and I said, this is just a once-in-a-generation opportunity. This never happens in Chicago, where everybody has an equal shot in this ward. And that's why it's been so fun to work on. Getting to know some of the Jewish organizations that Cornell talked about earlier, that's been a lot of fun. And we don't have a lot of precincts in each neighborhood, but we have a lot of neighborhoods. So it's been fun, and to see some of these endorsements that he's gotten from Secretary White and from some of the elected officials who represent the new Second Ward, like Commissioner Rogers and Art Turner, who's the House Majority Leader. These are folks that didn't gravitate towards him because he had a political base or a political boss, sponsoring him. They came with us because of how he presented his ideas and his record of service in the Marines. And sometimes he's humble about what he did in the Marines, but a guy who can oversee and manage complex logistical operations, civil reconstruction, counterterrorism, multiple countries at the same time. You think a guy like that can't fill a pothole? I think that the skills that he had are so translatable to cleaning up the city.
No, there's no question it's true. And, I'm going to switch international here for a little bit. First of all, it's interesting. In Israel, soldiers come back here sometimes and people are worried about this, that, the other thing. In Israel, industry seeks them out to run things.
Right. Did you know that Chicago was ranked by National Academic Study as the worst place in America for veterans to live?
Really?
Not because there's been any, and I'm not saying that anyone has intentionally made it that way, but just the channel of services are so chaotic and difficult to navigate that I think it's challenging for people seeking to reintegrate. And so, I've gotten to know a lot of Cordell's friends from the Marines and from other branches of service, and talked about what we can do to change that. In fact, one of our friends, a fellow named Joe Trainer, has a group that takes dogs that would otherwise be euthanized and trains them how to be service animals for veterans from all the services, not just service animals for the disabled veterans, but also just as companions and emotional support.
Nice.
So I'm learning so many things about what the true needs are of the veterans, and so he's taught me a lot, and it's been a good it's been a good campaign.
No, it definitely sounds good. We don't have a lot of time left, but one of the things I really like, and we've had guests on before, and we do want to get somebody back. You're very big on ending slavery and human bondage and that sort of thing. Matter of fact, you're even a member of the Holocaust Commission here. So tell us a little bit about that and what you were talking about a grant you just were able to swing.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. And I would add that Kenneth from South Sudan loves talking about his experience on the show, and it's made its way out to Sudan, and you're a big hit over there as well.
Well, he's more than welcome back, and as a matter of fact, he also made a very big hit with the Israeli consulate. Absolutely loved.
Yes.
Loved that show and made a point of it with me.
Well, our goal in terms of South Sudan is to try to work with Israel. Because South Sudan has a lot of natural resources, fruits, excellent soil, minerals, really everything under the sun. But because of the violence and the persecution those people suffered over several decades, the infrastructure is very low. And to give you one example, I mean, there's fruit that grows on the land of some of my colleagues in South Sudan that's literally rotting because they don't have the infrastructure to take it out, process it, pasteurize it, get it out for market. But Israel, I have a relative who's in the juice business, is one of the best countries in terms of being able to process fruits and juices and natural resources. So if we can work together to have a joint trade agreement to get the natural, those natural resources, out of the country with the help of the Israelis, I think we're really going to do some good. And to your point about the progress in the anti-slavery, in the anti-slavery front, I just wanted to thank Senator Durbin and his team because we were able to secure a first ever appropriation for $3 million to fight slavery in Mauritania, which is the one country on earth that still has race and descent-based slavery of the type practiced in the Civil War. So
it's horrid.
Bless Senator Durbin.
I want to thank you very much. We're running out of time. Sean Tenner.
Thank you.
Good luck in all your endeavors. Thank you to my entire technical crew, Sonny Hirsch. Join us next week for more election stuff. Bye-bye.